Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Amber McCleary, and I am the founding director of Copper Clothing. I would firstly like to thank the RSM for inviting me here today to talk about copper clothing and the copper-infused fabrics. Since 2011, the beginning of this journey, I have overcome many battles. My initial idea was actually to create an antibacterial and odorless dog bed. So to begin with, I used a bamboo fabric, which is supposed to be partially antibacterial. However, this didn't quite have the effects that I had hoped for. I also later found out that it wasn't effective for resistant strains of bacteria. Whilst I continued researching, I approached a lady named Paula Ward, who works with young people to develop their innovations and their ideas. Together we came across a video by Professor Bill Keevil at Southampton University, who actually demonstrated how MRSA is killed on copper surfaces within a matter of minutes. This then gave me the idea to infuse fabrics with copper. Paula got in touch with some fabric technologists who actually agreed to trial our ideas. And in the meantime, I actually purchased some copper powder and decided to make a dog jacket because my dog actually had a chronic fungal and bacterial infection at the time. So I purchased some copper powder and I used a spray glue to attach the powder to the inside of the jacket and gave the dog the jacket to wear. So because of how chronic the infection was, I was in a position where I sort of was determined to do anything in order to keep the dog alive. This proved to be very effective, as you can see here. Within 3 weeks, Harvey's coat started to restore and was also bacteria-free. And so my copper clothing journey began. With the help of Paula, we began to investigate and carry out a number of lab tests on our fabrics, which I part-funded myself from my part-time job. We tested the fabrics against a number of different bacteria and fungi, including MRSA, Klebsiella pneumoniae, Pseudomonas, and Candida. The results from the test were actually astounding, to the point where the lab actually contacted us and were asking what this fabric was and whether it was chemical-based or what exactly it was. So from this result, we actually realized that we were onto something that could be revolutionary. We continued to research and develop the ideas, and we began to make prototypes of products that we thought would be very effective. Those were the lab results there. So the first product that we produced was actually a pair of copper pyjamas. And the idea of these were to be used for people who have existing skin pathologies. As you can see on here, the lab results of our pyjamas, actually, with the results there, and some other fabrics, our fabric that was tested against various different bacteria there. We actually tested a standard NHS gown against our copper replica fabric gown, and the lab actually found that on the NHS gown, once inoculated with some bacteria, there was 400 million CFUs that formed on the fabric, compared to ours, which had a zero viable count. There was no viable count on our fabrics. And these were the copper pyjamas that we created. So with any new idea or innovation, there are always skeptics, especially in this specific case where I'm not a scientist, I'm not a qualified doctor, so I took on a lot of criticism. A lot of people, for example, I was at a HCAI antibiotic resistance conference last week. I had microbiologists just laugh at the idea because they thought it was something crazy and they didn't really believe in it. But I can, at this point, sort of disregard those sort of criticisms because I have strong belief in the product and I believe that it does do what we have found it can do. So in that case, we've had to work even harder in terms of trying to get people to believe in the product, and we've had 70 lab tests done, 6 separate studies done at University of Southampton, led by Professor Bill Keevil. We also have pending trials in 2 NHS hospitals, one of them led by consultant Abdul Sultan, which will be starting in September, hopefully. And I'm also pleased to announce that a high-profile media doctor has come on board as medical advisor of copper clothing. And so we are progressing in this. So this week, David Cameron actually announced that Britain will be leading the way in the fight against antibiotic resistant superbugs. The World Health Organization has warned that routine operations and minor scratches could become fatal if nothing is done. Britain is a nation that can often appear to be slow on the uptake of new innovation. In fact, I've been in front of a group of television venture capitalists who, let's just say, poured cold water on the idea. In this case, Britain needs to act fast to combat antibiotic resistance. Making a new generation of antibiotics is not going to be the final answer to the problem that we have, and I believe I have partially found the answer to this, as bacteria cannot become resistant to copper, as the copper works to destroy the DNA within cells. So that doesn't then allow for any mutation or replication of the bacteria. This is a British innovation by a young British female who doesn't have a scientific background